Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. In 2012, Audemars Piguet, in conjunction with Michael Schumacher, launched 3 limited edition Royal Oak Offshores. This is the Michael Schumacher edition in rose gold with cermet bezel, a 500-piece series from that family of 3. It was launched in 2012 for the 2013 model year. It might be the warmest, most approachable, and most endearing of the trio. And it's big. First of all, let me remind you, it's not just cermet and rose gold. It's cermet, rose gold, titanium, sapphire, and ceramic all at once in a 44mm case that measures 15.8 millimeters thick. From lug tip to lug tip, if we're just measuring the case, it is 55.7 millimeters, but these little intermediate links, the plots as they're called, 58.8 millimeters across the wrist. So this is a big watch. Now, I've always said that Royal Oaks and Offshores wear bigger than their rated size, so this being a 44, I'd encourage you to think of it as more like a 46. So think IWC Big Pilot's watch, and you get the idea. I'll let you judge whether this watch fits on my wrist. If you think aesthetically this is a good match and your wrist is my size or larger, good to go. That said, just to be careful, I'd recommend wearing this watch on a wrist of 17 centimeters circumference or larger. My wrist, once again, is 16. It should fit underneath a jacket cuff, just not the tightest of dress sleeves. Down the barrel one more time. The strap is a lovely piece and a color complement to all the non-rose gold metallic elements. You see it has a sort of frosted granular texture to it. These strakes visually extend the plots. We have a profile that actually mimics the bevel of the case flank, and you can see that running down the sides. The strap is held to the case using screws and bars. Good on you, AP, for doing that. I would be very worried about spring bars holding this exceptionally expensive and heavy watch on my wrist. Screws and bars give you more security. It is an Audemars Piguet factory strap in brand new condition, and you'll appreciate that it has a pin buckle, including both polish and satin. It is massive. Everything about this watch is on a giant scale. You can see the case, characteristic of the Royal Oaks and the Offshores. The character lines of the bezel extend into the case as well as the case back. A big part of what you pay for with a Royal Oak or an Offshore is the amount of time people spend finishing the case elements by hand. Crowns, crown guards, bezel, case, everything done manually using milling tools or in some instances media blast. Taking a quick look, we'll work our way from the crown in. The crown, which features a metallized red insert designed to remind you of Schumacher's championship with the Scuderia, that is shaped like the center nut of a Formula One wheel. We have these exhaust stack style chronograph pushers and their surrounds. The pushers themselves are rose gold. The initial surround that actually flanks them, that's made of polished ceramic. And then the larger crown guard shoulders, those are made of media blasted titanium. You can see hex screws hold them in place, so if they ever get gouged, they're modular, they can be replaced. The bezel gasket hides right underneath a cermet bezel. The cermet bezel is a combination of a metal core that's been ceramized on its outer layer, so it gives you all the advantages of scratch-resistant ceramic, but it can't crack through or fracture. You can also see it's finished to the same standards and in the same style as a standard Offshore or Royal Oak bezel is. So looking carefully, you can see there's this satinated vertical lip outboard, then we have the mirror polished and rounded slope, and then we have this vertical satination from top to bottom. There's a little polished chimney that separates the bezel from the sapphire, and then each of the nuts that holds the bezel, Audemars Piguet describes these as studs. Each of these studs features an evacuation outboard, so they're not fully encircled by the bezel. They actually have this mechanical, automotive-inspired, machine-like aesthetic where they're readily accessible and visually accessible all the way around. On the dial, we have the most obvious tribute to Schumacher's career, up between 12 o'clock and roughly 1:15. So 2 world championships with Benetton in Benetton blue, and then 5 world titles with Scuderia Ferrari, where you have the 5 Ferrari not Rosso Corsa, because Rosso Corsa is really kind of orange red. That's Ferrari racing red. And then the same for the chronograph seconds hand, minutes, and hours. Rose gold applique indices, rose gold hands. You'll note that the hands feature faceting that's polished, and then on their hoods they're actually satinated, so there's a contrasting finish on those skeletonized hands. The dial is supposed to look like the virtual dials that you see on the steering wheel of a Formula One race car, and you can see that the date disc is getting in on the red act. I'll demonstrate that the watch includes a hacking seconds mechanism. And then you've got a quick set for the date, so you can rapidly cycle the date should you wish to make a correction if the watch stops or encounters an irregular length month. And of course, this is a modular complication. You can tell because the center of the chronograph pusher is a little bit higher than the center line of the crown. The other way you can tell is that you're looking through this tube with its magnifier down at the base caliber. The base caliber mounts the date. The chronograph sits on top of the base caliber, so you're actually staring down through the chronograph mechanism to the base caliber. It is a Dubois-Dupraz vertical clutch mechanism that has no play, so you can see there's no jump or stagger when I start the chronograph seconds hand. There's no play in a vertical clutch, and so the DD module sits on the AP base, which has stop seconds and a quick set date. We have polished chapter rings for each of the sub-registers. We have a racing style checkered flag hash mark underneath the applied rose gold hour indices, and a racing style tachymeter that can be used with the chronograph to gauge the speed of an object, such as a Formula One race car over a course, over 1 kilometer in particular. You'll also appreciate the mega tapisserie dial that is the largest hobnail that Audemars Piguet offers, and the wonderful layered or tiered effect of this dial from the chapter ring all the way down to the date disc. Turn it all over. You can see Michael Schumacher's personal signature. We have a gold rotor that's been blackened with a combination of polish, media blast, and satination. Then we have the 3126 Audemars Piguet manufacturer base caliber, bidirectional automatic winding on ceramic rotor bearings for smoothness and efficiency. It is a 3 Hz beat rate with a 50 to 55 hour power reserve. You can see it has a large symmetrical batwing style balance bridge and a free-sprung gyromax style balance for shock resistance. It's a good-looking movement with a judicious blend of manual and mechanical finishing elements that's definitely equal to the billing of this watch. You can see the reverse actually echoes the design of the bezel, again designed to look like automotive fixtures on a race car. We have stripes, we have bevels, we have black polished screws, and we have engine-turned perlage on this movement with solarization at center over the ball bearing. And people ask me, why does AP use bidirectional winding instead of the more efficient unidirectional? Specifically because AP didn't want the watch to feel or sound like a 7750. That's the reason. We also have a little bit of luminescence in case you find yourself, as Schumacher did early in his career, at the 24 hours of Le Mans during the nighttime hours. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. And although you wouldn't want to take your race car swimming, I should mention that this is an amphibious vehicle, water resistant down to 100 meters.